it feels like a long time ago when we started RunFever.
Yeah, but I think the initial concept probably came about 10 years ago when we were probably doing a lot more running and even a lot more ultra running.
Yeah, there was such a mix of, the different, competitions and just our thoughts and feelings about running, I suppose, were different back then. We were obviously younger and I suppose probably wouldn't want to admit it then, but we were quite competitive, the way we looked at running and certain races. But the whole sense of community around running
Mhm.
was what really we found you know, quite fun to be around.
And share our passion. I think the concept of rock theory came about our passion of running and wanting to share it with the community and what that looked like.
Yeah,
And I think that, the concept then came about, could we, you know, we're not coaches per se, got a lot of passion, got some qualifications, but it was just like, can we help individuals, others just find their way in the sport as such?
yeah, yeah, definitely. And it was really good fun when we first started. It was so exciting when we were trying to piece it all together. We did have a little play around about creating some YouTube videos and things like that. But then I think just work, family life, just other bits and pieces, just, life was busy. And I think the run fever bit just dropped off. And it's kind of just in the background where we had like the Strava Club. And I suppose we continued running because it's a really important part of our life and who we are as people.
Mm.
Um,
I'm not quite sure how, to be honest, how the club grew and everything like that, which is nice, because unfortunately, because those life commitments at that time, just work and family and everything overtook us. But it was always there in the background, and I think we always would have liked to have picked it up and carried on trying to invest in the community and help out others as such.
yeah, for sure. Um, so obviously now, looking at Run Fever, it's something that we want to try and build back up again, but maybe use it in a different way with everything that we've experienced over the past couple of years.
Yeah, I think, the elephant in the room as such is, Run Fever has pivoted as such in the aspect of not being there as a purely coaching tool and everything like that, but now as a platform to, discuss what's happened over the last couple of years and hopefully just air our views on what that journey has been like and everything.
Yeah.
And even getting to this stage today, we probably procrastinated way too much on just doing this and, delayed it because of how life has overtook us again.
Yeah, definitely. I think what we've learned probably over the years that lots of our friends and lots of people that we know and follow have used running as a way to overcome challenges, get away from probably just stuff that's going on in their life. It's kind of that time where you can just go and either go out there and try and get things, think about things and get things straight in your head, or even just go out there and not think about anything and just use that time like kind of like as meditation almost to, you know, um, another escape kind of but an enjoyment in your life just to get out and do that. And I think with everything that we've been through, um, it just feels like now is a good time to use Run Fever in a positive way. Try and build up that community where people go, talk to each other about life, challenges, overcoming adversity, and trying to use that, that positive aspect of running to get through those things. And that real sense of community where we help each other and just know that you're not alone, really.
Mm, yeah, definitely.
um, I think the fact that we can just sit and have that open and honest conversation hopefully will help somebody, um, to feel that it's not just them, like,
And I
it's
think that's the part of it is just creating that conversation,
yeah,
and it's not, we know any particular special people or, done any special journey than others, but probably fortunate that, you know, being open and honest, I'm still here today and everything.
I mean, we had to work really, it was challenging. This past couple of years have been really, really difficult. I don't know if you want to talk about now, like what happened?
Yeah, I think, it's probably a good time to, get it out in the open. You know, if you go on the website as such, or you go on the WordPress site, it does detail the why and what's happened. But, essentially, a long story cut short, we're talking now, uh, went into a job in April 21. Is that right? April 21?
Yes.
April 21, and found the job extremely pressured, extremely stressful. I found completely out of my depth. And let's be open and honest again, as always, you get on this is it's just really emotional. I probably never cried as much and felt out of my depth. Exactly a month after starting that job, I just woke up one morning, May,
On your birthday.
on my birthday, May 21, just couldn't see out my left eye. Sight gone. We didn't actually know what that looked like at that stage. Very lucky that got down to the hospital that day. Found out at that time we'd lost the sight, but we were led to believe it was just fluid, and the fluid would drain away. Now we're passing over months and continued back into the job, continued pressured, continued stress, feeling uncomfortable, still trying to adapt with the eye. And that's probably, we're looking at August, September time when we actually got the final confirmation that essentially it was a hemorrhage at the back of the eye, and it had taken the central part of the vision, and that was gone for good. But, from that day, straight back into work, straight back on the treadmill as such. And, it was just back into the pressure of working and still thinking maybe I could just, it was another injury and could I adapt and heal? Unfortunately, a lot of changes then, trying to adapt to the change of the eye, trying to still find my feet in work. And I just struggled. And I think the difficulty at that stage was being somebody up until that point that had been there, had thought I had an understanding of mental ill health. It just escaped me in the aspect of I just started to go downhill very quickly and just continued to lose my way. And I think the biggest thing at that stage was not sleeping. Really, really struggling to sleep, if sleep was a thing at all. And then the noise would come in the head, and the noise was just getting louder, and the noise was unbelievable, uncontrollable thoughts of wanting to end it all. At that stage, at that point now, obviously, it's still difficult to talk about, but the noise of wanting to end it all at that time was wanting to end my life because I was in so much pain in so many different ways, physically and mentally. I just couldn't think of a way out of it.
Mm.
And we sort of skip forward until, February, March 22. And that's when the thoughts just became apparent and, thinking in so many different ways how I could end it all. And I suppose the kind person in me, maybe deep down still, was just trying to find a way that didn't upset too many people. But there is no easy, there is no easy way. And when you're deep in that moment, it just kind of overtakes you, and it just keeps getting louder, and the grip of that black noise just, leads you to probably up to that defining moment when you do ultimately want to, need to, believe to make that decision. And I think I was just very lucky that, on that given day that I was considering doing it. I'm very lucky that, for somebody, and, it's probably still to this day, your psychic powers, and I don't know how, is you decided that, the best thing for me was to come to school with you, change your plan, change the plan, when I really didn't. I don't think I gave a thought or wrote anything down to suggest anything different, why you would know.
I think I knew you were absolutely in crisis, and it was just I felt so fortunate that I worked with the team that I worked with, because they were fantastic at giving me the time to just come out. And you probably found it really annoying, but I just tried to keep some form of like a touch point. So I was like constantly like thinking, right, at this time I'll go back and check to see where you were, because obviously you were at home then trying to recover. Um, and so I'd be like, right, 10 o'clock, I'll come across, we'll go for a walk around the block. So we'd go and have a little walk. I tried to schedule things in throughout the day, so I was constantly coming back to check on you. And when you had an appointment, a medical appointment, for me, I was so thankful and grateful that we had that, because it was just like I wanted someone to see how poorly you were. Like you were really struggling, and it felt as though it was literally you and me trying to find a way through. But you were really good at, when we went and met with anyone that was professional, it was like almost like your army side came out, and you like
But at that
you
point there, we, obviously to that day, that's jumping forward, very lucky on that day that things changed. And I think that was the final moment of then going back and probably chatting for, it was about 4 hours, wasn't
yeah,
it? And it was only because then you were like, right, get in the car, take me to the med centre. And that's when, really, it was just like speaking to them, letting them know how I felt, what was going on. But it was still a shocking moment in the aspect of then turning around and saying, you're having a breakdown.
mm,
All of those work pressures, those understandings, and what I was putting upon myself, had just got to me and just boiled over essentially. But then, like you said, it was going back and forward to the doctors of trying to still put on a brave face when I was really in crisis.
for sure. Because I think for years of your military career, you've always had to have that thing of like, right, man up, just get on with it, get it done, get that task done. So you have that mentality. But where you were, someone needed to see what was really happening. And I was the only one, it felt like I was the only one that actually could see how poorly you were. People would come, like you had, a couple of your senior management would come round, but you were like trying to be the best of you, like you were fighting through. But actually, I knew that as soon as they'd gone, you couldn't even breathe. You were like hanging out the window, scratching at your neck. You couldn't control your heart rate. There were so many things going on. But when we started to turn things around, and you started to get out and just build up your confidence, go for those walks,
But
started little short runs, you started some medication.
even doing those first walks, those runs, and even the Strava feed will show it. That skipping forward cost me even nearly a year before I actually managed to find that way and everything, because it just felt like we were drifting along as such, in the aspect of, I'm not saying the support wasn't there and it was bad, but it's not what I hoped or envisaged.
Yeah,
It really did feel like, it, you know, it was just you and me in group
Honestly, I
terms.
would say that's what it felt like. It literally felt like we were on our own. We were battling through, and yes, there's like support groups out there, and but when you're in it, that first bit of when you were like, it was
It was still
absolutely.
denial in a way. It was just, I just didn't want to. I think I wanted. It's really hard to break down because it's part of me that still, even after that day, I didn't have another day that was 100% that bad, but it was still prevalent in my mind of just one. I just couldn't define it at that time. I wanted it all to end. I just didn't know what end then looked like. We were starting to work some of those thoughts out, but it was just like kind of denial because of still being in the military and still thinking I still had a career and wanting to get back to work. And we were fighting to it,
Yeah.
for a long, long period. We actually still believed that that was an option.
But we know now there are so many people out there that are going through their lives. They will be going through certain challenges, and we I think what we've learned from this is that the physical well-being and the mental well-being of us are so linked, and they really do impact each other. And we sometimes, I think we take it for granted when we're physically well. Yeah, we're physically able to do all the things that we've always kind of done. Life just kind of take it for granted, and life is just, it's just rolling along. But then when that something happens that just swipes you off your feet, that try to work that through mentally and the impact that it has on your mental well-being, it's massive. And I think we're just not good at understanding that and breaking that down, because we know, like, physically, if there was something wrong with us when we're training, we would adapt our training, change it up, tweak it, shorten our sessions or whatever, because we know physically we're not in a good place. But when we're mentally not in a good place, we just carry on. I don't think we do enough.
But the only way I can describe it for me is like, probably a really bad, wrong analogy in the aspect of life is like that Jenga block. And as you're going through, these challenges you face that probably either pushing the bricks out and it may become a bit unstable, or through your own coping strategies, you might be able to push that brick back in
Mm.
and give some more stability back into your life. But at that time there was just too many bricks getting pushed out and everything, and to that breaking point. But it was just, then coming out the other side and what we got told, potentially what we got promised, didn't really materialize into that thing. And it was just like then finding our way. Now there is so many good stuff out there that what you can be dealing with, either charities or certain medication. But I think for us now it's just like sharing our side of our journey, what it's been like, and hopefully when we're chatting about this, we're always probably going to revert back to of those experiences, but hopefully then just chatting about how you can adapt, how you can find your way and everything. And just, what our version is, there's probably so many people out there that are just as bad or not worse. And I've just got no one to talk to. I'm really lucky in this process that I had you, and then, there's a few other people that came into our life and they will be big part of what we're doing going forward on RunFever. We had Dougie Douglas, who was absolutely outstanding throughout that journey from day one. And then, I was really lucky to connect in with Matt Spruce and that again, who will be a big part of how we chat going forward of those experiences and, between us all of what our journey was like and how, you know, let's be honest, you all supported me.
Yeah. And I think that's where we're at now. And that's what we would like to use kind of the Run Fever platform now as a way to keep the conversation going. for people to know that they're not alone, um, but how as well we've used running as kind of, even though it can be so tough sometimes with like work and family and trying to find time to get out there and do the training, but how beneficial that doing that training is as well. And
It is, and I really had to go back to basics again, as and it's all on the Strava as such. In the aspect of when would if we were to go back in time again, a year and a half ago, it was literally, as the analogy goes, learning to walk before we can run again. We
yeah,
would we were just initially walking around the block, and then it was going out for little runs. And it's pretty much all on named on Strava. I just didn't have that confidence to run by myself, and I was lucky with he was a guided runner, but there was those times that I did try and run by myself, and probably got into some incidents.
yeah,
Whether that was other people's fault or what, possibly it was my fault because of lack of confidence and being able to see, and and I think that's that part of that journey is it, it's never going to be just a fix. I'm trying to navigate through, still the vision loss, still dislike it. It's still a challenge. There's the days where the eyes do complete funky things, and is that linked to then the brain, the mind? Do they kick off the eyes? And equally, then when the eyes are having those days, they kick off the mind, and I lose that confidence, and then that brings in that anxiety. And there's a whole different chapter we need to go in about that anxiety at some point, because I
yeah,
never realised how powerful and how dangerous anxiety is.
mm,
At that stage where I was 100% sure I was having a heart attack so many times, and I probably even wasted the NHS's time on those days where I was an absolute crisis, and I was positive I was having a heart attack.
but you were physically having, it's not like you just felt like it, your heart rate did spike and you were physically having symptoms. It wasn't as though it was just in your mind or something. You're like you're physically, your anxiety is and still does now, like physically impacts you, and it's real. Like I
We
honestly, hand on heart, I didn't really understand anxiety, to be honest, until um, I've things have happened to me, and I've been in some crazy places as well. But probably I would say, being depressed like in the past. But the anxiety, that illness, that mental ill health that goes, it's like it's not just a mental ill health, it's a physical, you're physically having symptoms as well.
well, and it's come out now, and I've probably got legacy problems and still struggle with it, and we're still seeing it in my blood test results, unfortunately, of the damage of those levels that have affected, unfortunately, my immune system,
Yeah.
and then the other problems of the chemicals it's leaked into the blood and completely reduced the immune system and caused that. And that just the more times you have those moments, the good thing is we understand it now. We're trying to introduce those coping mechanisms, and hopefully that's what we can share with other people. But it's still tough and it's still brutal.
Yeah. Do you feel like what we're doing now and opening up and talking about it and sharing our experience with kind of the Run Fever community, and like with kind of our outlook and the way we want to kind of promote like the importance of mental well-being. We try and do that in the workplace, but do you think that's going to help you in your recovery as well?
Yeah, definitely. It's just, I think it's one of those big things is, here we are, pretty much 2 years down the line from that defining day, 2.5 years from losing the sight. And it's just like, the biggest thing now is now knowing that I never actually wanted to end my life. I just wanted, I just wanted the pain and suffering to end. And it was just really, really hard and not understanding that. And, it's been really hard in the aspect of then having to find out that I can't stay in the military career's got to end. But we all have to leave at some point, and then it was just like, well, same thing again. Let's be honest, we've not had, I've not had any treatment, and you have been my treatment, and we call life my treatment. Life has been my treatment and therapy. So it's just like, it's just like how anyone, there be people that will respond to other things that are there to be able to support them. But hopefully this just could be a platform where it may help one person. And if this just chimes in with one person and gives them a bit more hope, and it's maybe resonates with them, and it can save them, from the noise, then hopefully, that can only be a good thing.
Yeah, I think that is the key thing, is that knowing that there is light at the end of the tunnel, and there's always a way, and even sometimes you could be just in turmoil and feel like you're just on your own, that no one's ever been through what you're going through. But there is a way. There is a way. It's just sometimes it just takes a little time to work it out. And I think sometimes opening up and talking to anyone, it doesn't have to be someone that you're really close to. It could be a stranger. It could, it doesn't have to be your best friend, or it's just having that conversation with someone who's just not judging you or what you're saying, and they believe in what you're saying, that you are truly experiencing what you're experiencing, but it's not permanent. It's something that you can get through it. There's a way.
It's going to look clunky, and it's going to
Yeah.
be one step forward, two steps back,
Yeah.
even more steps back, and everything like that. But it's just like, say, if stick with it. It's not going to be an easy journey, and I still really, really struggle. Those good days are okay, and those bad days are absolutely horrible. But it's just getting through it, and then, like I say, it's just finding what works for you, and hopefully you've got a good network of people around you and who you can trust and who you can tap into. And I think, I'm lucky. I've got you, I've got, Dougie Douglas, I've got Matt Spruce as my main people I can link into. And then, we've got the kids, which have given me some balance and some drive and motivation to keep fighting it. And that's really, really important.
And you've
But
actually had some wise words as well
and
from your children.
yeah, and
Yeah.
they've really given me, strength in some of their words and everything. But it's also, we're lucky, I'm lucky I've got that. But this is recognizing that some people just haven't got that. They might not have that friend network, they might not have that family network that could support them.
So, in that instant, that's what we hope to achieve with RunFever, is give people somewhere they can go, somewhere where they can link in and have that conversation.
Yeah, and just, we're not going to be able to solve everything, but it's just something that somebody might be able to listen to, watch to, and think, do you know what, that is me, that's what I'm going through. And then hopefully there's some hope in there for them, and just finding their way. If it's initially just going out for a walk, if they can go out for a run, if they can find a local club, if they can find some local support network, get down the park run and start, meeting other people and just have that conversation.
Yeah, for sure.
So I think, for this first one, for this first time, I think it's probably a good time to stop it now.
Yeah.
And then we'll catch up on other stuff that's going forward.
Yeah, definitely. It'd be
So
good to do that.
yeah,
Thank you for listening.
yeah, thanks for taking your time, and hopefully we'll speak to you again soon.
Take care.
Take care. Bye.